Alright guys, so now let's talk about domain. Domain talks about the set of all inputs where a function is defined. For example, when you have a function, it's the domain is always what are you able to put in to get something out as a response. For example, in the real world, if we're talking about a function for gas, if we're talking about a gas, you're trying to drive, you're trying to go to your friend's house, but you don't have gas. That's not possible. You either gotta put some money when you put zero to $10. You know your car, and you know it can take you so far. So if you say, "Hey, I'm gonna put $10 in my car," you know that's not gonna take you all the way to San Diego, right? Because that's not part of your, we call it your range. Okay, we're gonna talk about that in the next video. But when you put between $0 to $10 on your gas tank, you know maybe it might take you between 0 or 25 miles, because that's as much as you can drive with up to $10. So that's the limitation you're giving yourself when you put that much money. So today we're going to focus on this part, which is the domain, how much you're able to put in. So let's go over these vocabulary words before we move forward. The first vocabulary word you might encounter today is the word integer. So what is an integer? Is basically a whole number. It could be negative, it could be positive, but it has to be a whole number. And a real number it could also be positive, it could also be negative, it could also be a whole number. It's basically anything else. So the one that has limitations is the word integer. It has to be a whole number. So with that in mind, let me give you another example. Let's say you're at the gym, hitting the gym, putting in work, getting ready for the season, whatever. Well, if we're talking about going to the gym and you're doing weights, well, a lot of people might forget that the bar actually has its own weight. Usually is 45 pounds. And when you add more plates, you're adding more weight. So when this is your limit for weight, what's going to happen here, guys? In this side, what happens when you lift weights? You get ripped, right? Like hashtag, yo woke or whatever, yoke, whatever you say. So we call this the muscle mass. And I'm putting here in real numbers in the sense of 0.5 centimeters of muscle measurements, 1.5 centimeters of muscle. And this is your limitation because you're setting yourself limits to how much you can weight lift. If you want to weight lift more safely, your muscle mass would also increase. So again, this is your domain. This is how much you're able to give input. Later on in our videos, we're going to talk about range, which are the results of that weight lift. And that's basically what domain is about. If we were to do a little quick example, let's say this is the equation they gave you, a function, 2 over x. So again, your input is always your x. They want to know what's going to be my answer when I provide a 3. So when my x is 3, it's basically going to be 2 over what, guys? 2 over 3. When your x is 3, you get an answer of 2/3. When my x is pi, you get an answer of 2 over pi. Very good. So these are the answers you're given, you're providing because you're given this pi. Now, for the next one, when your x is 0, can you provide an answer of 2 over 0? I want you to put that in your calculator and see what it says. It might say error, which is another way of saying that it's undefined. You cannot do that, guys. 2 over 0 is not possible. And the symbol for undefined, guys, is actually a 0 with a slash. This is why it's important to understand how much or what are your parameters for this. If we're going back to the gym, the weight you're giving has to be a positive amount because you cannot lift negative 5 pounds. It's not something you can do, right? When you go to the gas station, you cannot take money away from the gas station, right? You can do it on an ATM machine, but not on a gas station. The only thing you can do is give money to the machine, which is a positive number. So domain is important depending on the situation. In this situation, our x was at the bottom of a fraction, which made this x impossible to do. So watch out for domain, guys. This is basically an example. There will be many more in my other videos.